Howdy, howdy, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hi, Yolanda. A bunch of people asked where little Ben was, so I had to bring him out today. How are you all doing today? I guess, how's Yolanda doing today? I think you're the only person here so far. Gonna get ourselves settled here in just a moment. Gonna let that viewer count tick up just a little bit before we get ourselves started here. Hopefully everybody got the new link. Good to hear, Yolanda. Mother's Day was good. So, you know, I was going to make a joke. You know what? That was in poor taste. I'm going to stop right there. No, Mother's Day was good. Thanks for asking. Let's see here. We're going to give folks a couple minutes to join before we get started. In the meantime, have little Ben tell a joke. Oh, never mind. He's being shy today. Sorry. Now, for those of you joining us today, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be doing a garden tour. We're going to try to survive out here. It's a little bit warm today, but we've got a lot to show off. A lot going on in the garden right now. Matter of fact, the herb spiral is coming along with lots of weeds. Oh yes, lots of weeds. No, the herb spiral is doing great. Everything is growing in. Same thing with the Hugelkultur bed. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a little bit of trimming on this today because, by golly, stuff is getting a little bit out of hand. The holy basil is encroaching on everything else. It's completely smothering the shallots down here, which are way back there. And it's really encroaching into our tomato here. Matter of fact, the tomatoes also need a little bit of pruning, getting a little bit dense down here, so we'll work on that today. Of course, these two tomatoes are the ones that had that late start. They weren't doing so well when we first planted them. I think they went into a little bit of transplant shock. The first two tomatoes on the east side, boy howdy, these did not go into shock, and as a matter of fact, they are just absolutely going bonkers. They're going to be up to the top of the cage probably by next week, not the week after. You can see that our carrots are doing great. Carrots have grown quite large. In fact, they're growing taller than the marigolds now. Matter of fact, even the shallots are growing taller than the marigolds already, and these shallots went in about almost 3 weeks after everything else. So it is incredible how much growth the shallots have put on. I mean, they just, you know, they started out like that and exploded. The African basil is also doing great, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to be trimming this back today as well because this is just really getting wildly out of hand. Even our Italian basil has really grown into a mighty shrub here. Of course, this has gone to seed. It is already bolting. I'm actually going to let this bolt so that the pollinators can use this. I have so many different kinds of basil out here. I'm going to start another Italian basil and just let this one do its thing. The bees have been loving all of this. Of course, they're done for the day. We don't have any more out here right now, but I'll tell you, if you were out here about 2 hours ago, they were going pretty wild out here in the garden. Oh, yes, sorry, Yolanda, I missed it. Yeah, little Ben is my twin. Ta-da! You know, funny story. I had a student. This was, goodness, Over a year ago now, I had a student over in the San Dimas Senior Citizen Center who knitted this for me, and it was the funniest thing. She had taken my class, and at the end of, I think it was the fall semester, she asked to see my hat. Now, not this one, it's my other hat that I wear a lot. Actually, this little hat on this little guy is a perfect replica of the other hat I wear. But she asked if she could see my hat, and she took it and did a little drawing. Came back at the beginning of the next semester with the bag and said, well, I'm not taking your class anymore, but I want you to have this. And then she ran off. And I opened it up, and there was little Ben. It's actually one of the sweetest gifts I've gotten, I think. Look at that. Of course, now I'm messing him up because I keep putting him in my pocket. So he's going to take a seat down here. There you go, little Ben. Don't want to mess him up too much. Now, Yolanda in chat says, my sister bought me a Brazilian begonia. Not sure how to care for it. It's in a basket, and it's a good size. Any recommendations or suggestions? You know, I'm not sure how to take care of a Brazilian begonia. I'll have to look into that for you, Yolanda. As a matter of fact, I'll look into it and see if there's anything special you need to know, and I'll get back to you when we are in the Friday class. Now, I want to take you through these flowers in here because, my goodness, the flowers on the north fence are just looking absolutely beautiful now as well. As you can see, our dahlias are really taking off. Our poor nasturtiums are getting eaten by something here. Not sure what's doing it, but I gotta be honest, I really planted these nasturtiums way too late. This was not the best plant to put in this time of year, and I can already see with the heat that we had today that this is looking a little bit frazzled. Might look a little better on camera, but in person it doesn't look as vibrant even just yesterday. I don't think these nasturtiums are going to last a whole lot longer. I'm probably going to end up replacing these pretty soon. But everything else is looking good. Of course, this poor dahlia finished up and, as you can see, exploded. Our 3 dahlias over here finally bloomed, and by golly, they're not yellow. We got a nice light peachy orange dahlia, a lighter red dahlia, and then a really, really dark dahlia. In fact, I don't know that I've seen one that dark before. It's gorgeous. Everything else is doing great. Even our last dahlia down here is also finally opened up, and it turned out to be white. Still waiting on our bee balm, but it looks like it's going to start putting out some flowers pretty soon, so I'm excited about that. Cosmos hasn't been doing super great. It put out one really nice bloom, and then it got frazzled, and I've just been deadheading it. I'll go ahead and deadhead that piece there too. But might not be bright enough for this Cosmos here. Might just have to wait and see what happens with that one. Off you go to the flower graveyard. It's doing chop and drop in there. Now, the next thing I want to show you all are our lovely trio of trees that we planted a few weeks back. As you can see, they're looking great. Our stick that a lot of people were worried about because I cut the top off because it was too tall. The buds are finally coming out. It is alive. So our stick will be a peach tree. Just going to take a little bit of time to recover from that terrible, terrible thing that I did to it. Now, our burgundy plum here has quite a bit of growth down here at the base, and I don't want that, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to trim this off. Just like so. And I'll just chop and drop this too. As a matter of fact, I'll just go like this, and I'll sprinkle this around, and it'll be gone by next week. Now, I mentioned when I planted these trees, oh, hello there, Sandy. How are you doing? Good to see ya. Now again, I mentioned when I planted these trees that I need to make sure that the branches don't grow in towards each other. I want these trees to grow out and away from each other. So I do have some branches on the plum that are coming out and growing in towards the center. So this is another thing that I need to make sure I stay on top of trimming off. I don't want these to get too long. I don't want energy going out in this direction. I want the energy to go into the branches that are heading into the direction that I want. So that one definitely needed to come off. This little nub right here, I'm going to let that grow out a bit. I am going to cut that off, but I'm going to wait. This piece also, oh, I'm sorry, let me pull that up. There we go. This piece is also growing in the wrong direction, so that'll come off, and this piece down here as well. And with that, we're done. Just gonna chop those up into slightly smaller pieces. And again, you know, this is all just going to break down in the wood chips here. Within a couple of days, you won't even know that that's there. It's going to be the same color as the wood chips, and the nutrients are just going to go back into the ground. That's part of being regenerative, is letting the stuff go back into the soil, whether it be leaves or branches or what have you. Now, I mentioned weeks ago that something had been eating the persimmon. I still haven't figured out what's done it, but thankfully it's really slowed down. Most of the damage on here was that early damage. I've come out at different times during the day. I've come out at night. Still can't seem to figure out what's eating this, but it's very likely either some kind of a caterpillar, although I've heard that supposedly June bugs can munch on these leaves, which is odd because I had heard that June bugs don't munch on plants all that much, but very well could be them. Don't think we're going to solve this mystery today. Oh, Yolanda, sorry, I missed your question. Yolanda asked, won't that make the tree lopsided? And in the case of doing a trio of trees, or if you have two trees that you're growing this close together, you actually want the tree to be lopsided. So you need to treat a grouping of trees like this as if they were all one tree. And if this tree, for instance, starts growing out this way, you're going to have too much going on in the center of these trees. You're not going to have good airflow. You're not going to have enough sun coming into these trio of trees. So you have to make sure that none of the branches are growing in towards the other trees or in towards the center of the trio. Miriam asks, Ben, did you buy live lacewings or do you buy the larva? So I buy lacewing. It's actually the eggs that they send out. And I'm going to be purchasing those eggs really soon, actually, because I need to release those here in the garden. In fact, I think I showed last week, and I'll show again. Oh, you know what? Remember how I said sometimes you leave the aphids alone and then they just disappear on their own? Well, look at that. Hardly any aphids left on here. There's a few aphids on the plum, but actually, I didn't even add the lacewings yet. I see one or two on there. So some kind of an insect must have come in and eaten the aphids off of here. I didn't even have a chance to release my beneficial insects. Oh well, I guess I get to save some money. Now I'm actually still going to purchase lacewings. Again, I ordered Nature's Good Guys. That's a local company, at least it's based out of California. And I purchased the eggs, and it's actually the larva that you get. You wouldn't want to purchase the adults even if you had them available, because the adults fly, and once you release them, they're going to end up flying away. When you purchase the eggs or the larvae, you're going to put them on the plants that have the problem, and of course they will grow into adults, and hopefully the adults will stick around and lay eggs around your yard. But it is always best to go with the eggs or the larvae. Another good question in the chat: with this heat, is it too late in the day to water? And you know, I would argue that it's best to wait until it cools down some more. Of course, You don't want to water after sunset a lot of times, especially when it's hot, a little bit balmy. If you water your plants, and let's say I'm watering something like my dahlia here, if I'm watering it from the top down and I get water on the leaves in the evening, the humidity and the water on the leaves actually makes it a little bit more susceptible to things like powdery mildew. So I would much rather wait until the morning and then come in and water my plants. Of course, if I had a plant that looked like it was in severe need of water, then I would water it maybe an hour before sundown or so. I don't want to do it after sundown unless I'm really, really careful. Of course, I have a drip system in here, so I could turn this water on and not worry about the water splashing on the leaves. So actually, I'll take back everything I just said. If I'm using a drip system, I'll go ahead and water in the evening after the sun goes down. If I have to water overhead, then I'll probably water about an hour before sunset. But it's always best to try to do it first thing in the morning. Yolanda asks, what do you do if one of your trees dies? You replace it with another one? And that's a really good question, Yolanda. When you're doing a trio of trees like this, it's really difficult to replace one if one of them dies, because you need to try to keep all of them in a balance with each other. As a matter of fact, the root system even are keeping each other in a balance. These roots are going to grow into each other, and they're going to be in competition with each other. Now, one of the reasons why you grow these trees in a trio or in a duo like this is actually to keep them smaller. This is a way to keep the trees dwarfed. Now, none of these trees here are dwarf trees. These are all full-size trees that could grow up to be, 12 feet, maybe even 15 feet in the case of some of these. But because they are competing with each other's root systems here, that's going to stunt their growth slightly. And also, because we've come in and we've chopped them way down like this, as we see on all three of these trees, this is going to help keep them smaller. And as a matter of fact, next year when these grow back out, I'm going to bring them back down. And in fact, I'm going to do this every summer. I'm going to do a summer pruning to keep the size of these trees down. So that's one of the reasons why we plant them so close together, is to keep them smaller. It's actually a way to dwarf the trees. But if one of these trees dies, I could try to replace it, but it would be very, very difficult to do so. But, you can try. Nothing wrong with trying, right? So Yolanda, good question. Yolanda says there's no drip system around these trees, and you are correct. That brick is right there because that's where I put the little sprinkler. Now, these trees right now are being watered twice a week because they're young and because their roots haven't developed very much yet. They haven't been in the ground for very long. But before long, I'm only going to be watering these once per week. And, for the first, maybe even the first year, it's likely I'll just use this little sprinkler and run it, again, once or twice per week. Eventually, we're going to have the second grouping of trees. And in fact, right in here, we're going to do another grouping of 3 trees. We're going to wait until the fall before we plant those. We tried to order the trees, but they didn't come in time, and I don't want to plant them now because it's going to be too hot. Once both groupings of trees are in, I'm going to put in a little drip system like I did over here. Same idea, where it's just going to have a little piece that plugs into the hose like so. So this is just a little hose end attachment. So I grab the hose from over there, pull it on over, plug it in, and turn it on. And that's how I run these individual little systems. Same thing on the raised bed over here. A lot of this out here is hand watered though. So, the little herb pot here with our mint and our dianthus, that's hand watered. Herb spiral is hand watered, and then all of this over here is hand watered as well. Miriam asks, how long do you water the trees? Very good question on the trees. So those trees, I would say I water them right now probably about 20 minutes twice per week. Eventually, it's just going to be once per week, and I'll water them. Depending on what kind of a system I have, it could be anywhere from 30 minutes all the way up to 60 minutes. One of the things that you have to do is calculate how many gallons per minute are coming out, and how many gallons of water these trees actually need. One thing about this area, though, is all of these wood chips are inoculated with wine cap mushroom spawn. In fact, you can see in here all of this white stuff. This is that mycelium of the wine cap mushrooms. And so I actually try to keep this a little bit wetter right now, at least, to get the mycelium going. Of course, don't want to overwater the trees. And if this was a clay soil, I'd be a lot more careful. But because this is a very sandy soil that drains very well, I'm not afraid to wet this down a little bit more to keep the mushroom spawn going in here. Maria says, hello, I deep water my pots. I don't water too frequently, and that's good, Maria. Always a good idea to deep water everything that you can. You know, watering deeply is better for almost all of your plants. I don't want to say all of your plants. There are some plants that have shallow root systems, but most things do better when you water them deeply. Yolanda says, if you plant another group of trees, and of course they grow, won't they compete with the other trees, especially when they get big? So if you plant them correctly, it's not going to be a problem. So these three trees are, you know, behaving like a single tree. So I'm going to train them so that these three together are like the canopy of one tree. And so I need to give at least 10 feet of space here. So coming over here, probably about right around in here, so about 10 feet. That's how far apart I would have two individual trees. So when I'm doing a cluster like this, I do the same thing. Actually, let me see here. See, I can test this. Every step is 3 feet. So 1, 2, 3. Right around in here is 12 feet actually. So, you know, actually 12 feet would probably be good too. But not to worry, these won't be in too much competition with each other. So, good question in chat. Why would it be difficult to replace a tree if one dies? You know, let's imagine that these trees have been growing here for 5 or 6 years, and all three trees, you know, grow up to size, which I'm going to train them to be, probably about maybe 6 feet tall or so. So right up around in here from down there. After these trees have put on 5 or 6 years of growth, if I need to replace one, you know, the replacement, of course, I could purchase a larger tree that's the same size as the others, but the roots of these two trees are going to be around in here. It's going to be more difficult for a new tree to take off when I already have two trees that are really established. So it's not impossible, but it would be more difficult to replace a tree in a trio like this if one of them happened to die. So I guess that could be one of the negatives of doing something like this. There's positives and negatives to all of the choices that we make in gardening. Now, I have a couple of other things to show you really quick here. So, as you all know, we completed the log last week. Now, when I did the live stream last week, I took some of this soil here, which is the soil from Wolfenboggers, which, of course, is dry again because I let it dry out again. This is actually a raised bed mix. And I decided, well, you know what? It's good in raised beds. I could use it as potting soil, too. That was a bad idea because this makes terrible potting soil, as I discovered. Matter of fact, you know, we filled this up with water because I hadn't wet it first. It was hydrophobic and the water wasn't draining out. And so I ended up coming back the next day, and this was still full of water. It actually never drained. So I had to pick the whole thing up. I dumped it out over there, and I got some good old-fashioned potting soil. I just got some of the, goodness, I'm going to forget the name of the brand. It's the, OG Organics. I forget what it's called. I'll have to grab the bag in a little bit and show you all. But I just used some potting mix instead, which has really good drainage. Same thing over here. I actually ended up pulling all of the soil out of this. I just dug it out, tossed it back in the pile, and filled this up with some good potting soil because it drains so well. Got these flowers replanted, also added some more flowers, decided to add a couple of cosmos in here so that as you walk up to the garden, we'll have some flowers kind of popping out from behind the log. We've also planted up some, oh my goodness, now my brain is gonna on me and I'm gonna forget the name of this flower. This is a flower that gets pretty tall. The spires reach about 6 feet. Beautiful flowers, can come in singles or doubles. Anyone know the name of this flower? And it finally came to me. I remember it. It's also the name of a type of an oak tree. Norma asks, Ben, where are your gloves? No gloves today, I suppose. I'm just going to have dirty hands again. Just kidding. So not mauve. Anyone know the name of this plant? It is called a hollyhock. So I planted a couple of hollyhocks in here. I've got 2 in front, and I actually have 3 planted behind this wheelbarrow here. Idea is, since these get pretty tall, the flower spires can reach 5 to 6 feet tall, have a nice show of flowers behind the wheelbarrow, and a couple popping up in front as well. Funny story. Oh yes, you got it, hollyhock. Now, funny story. So as I've been planting in here, we kept finding bricks and blocks. So I came in here actually just the other day to plant these hollyhocks. And when I dug down to plant them, my shovel went clink. And we found more bricks. All of these bricks were right under here. I feel like if I keep looking around the yard, I might find enough bricks to make another herb spiral. We have a lot of blocks and bricks here, but that's okay. We can build all kinds of fun stuff with them. Now let's see what else is going on here. Now last week I also showed you this little pepper plant. I'd hoped to plant it on the live stream. We ended up not having enough time, but I used the same kind of potting mix and planted this up. Now, interesting thing, this looks pretty dry here. And this pepper plant looks a little bit sad after that hot sun today. In fact, I see some leaves here that have turned yellow and fallen off. You might assume that this needs to be watered, but if I take my finger and I do the finger test, come down here, actually that soil is still moist under there. Now this pepper plant doesn't look so hot because we've been having nice cool weather, and today was a pretty warm day. It got up to be about 91 degrees. So this pepper just needs to adjust to the heat. It doesn't need any more water right now. In fact, it won't need any more water probably until, I might water it not tomorrow, but the day after. Now, I probably should put some mulch on top of this. As a matter of fact, I've got some straw mulch right over here I should probably put on here. That's going to help this hold the water in a lot better. In fact, I could do the same thing over here in this log. Although, funny thing, I've noticed that the soil in this log is staying moist for a very long time. And it's funny because this is the same soil as that, but this is staying wet a lot longer. And I think probably has to do with how thick the wood is here. This does drain very well, but it just seems to hold the water a lot longer. By the way, one other thing I'll point out with this log that I didn't get to show you last week. When I finished this off, I realized it was on a little bit more of an incline than I thought. And when I watered, the water was not sinking in down on that end. It was kind of rushing down and spilling over the end. So I propped it up on a block down here to level it out. And it's important when you have any kind of a container like this to make sure that it's level so that everything gets the right amount of water. I really love how this came out, though. I'm glad I took on this project, even though it took me, a month and a half to carve this out. That's what you get for using hand tools instead of a chainsaw. Yolanda asks, would mulch help your pepper plant? And yes, definitely need some mulch for that. In fact, I could even use the same kind of mulch that I have over here. These wood chips are great. This is orchard bark. This really helps to keep the herb spiral going. You'll notice we have a little empty spot right here. I had planted a chervil in here, and chervil is actually a cool season plant. And pretty shortly after I planted it, it started to have some leaves, yellow a little bit. Ooh, weed, I'm gonna pull that out. And I was a little bit concerned, but then it bolted and the whole thing really just all the way to the ground. So sad thing, I decided just to go ahead and cut it out since it bolted. I'm gonna go ahead and plant something else in here, but I haven't picked what yet. Now, I'm pulling out this little piece of root here because I wanted to take a look. And actually, it's interesting, you know, this has only been cut down for a couple of days, but notice how crumbly these roots are here. Now, a lot of people ask me when I take a plant out, do I have to pull the roots out of the ground? And actually, no, you don't. As a matter of fact, oftentimes it's better to leave the roots in the ground and to let them decompose. Because, of course, these roots contain nutrients, and those nutrients can just go right back into the soil. I'm going to leave that there as well. Let's see. Maria says, I put mulch in some of my pots. Fantastic work. Congrats on the log. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Norma says, don't forget to like the video. That's right. Don't forget to push that like button. When you push that like button, it makes little Ben do a happy dance. Do, 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 do. Oh, the likes are going away. What's going on? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, everybody's leaving though. Geez, what's going on? Alrighty, that's enough joking around. Now let's see here. I've got some more things to show you. Next up on the docket, we have our chayote. Now, this does not look like a very happy chayote, does it? Unfortunately, as I mentioned, when I purchased this chayote, it felt very, very cold. I was pretty sure that it had been frozen. And sure enough, I'm pretty sure it was. Thankfully, it's not mushy, even though it is getting sunburned. We don't have a sprout coming out on it yet, but I haven't given up hope. I'm just going to continue watching it. Hopefully in the next week or two, we'll get a sprout out of here. But if I don't see anything by next week, I'm probably going to purchase another chayote to get started because I really need to get this on that arch as soon as possible. But we'll give it a little bit more time. Won't give up yet. Good questions in the chat. So first, where do you buy mulch? So you can get mulch for free, actually. If you need a lot of mulch, let's say you've got a big wide space and you need to put a bunch of mulch down, and actually I need a bunch more mulch down here. In fact, you can see I've got areas that need more mulch. I've got mulch here, but it's not really enough, and a lot of it is really incorporating into the soil here. In fact, if I dig down, you can see there's actually more mulch. It's just that it's getting mixed up into the soil because this has been here for quite some time. But you can purchase mulch. You can go to your Home Depot. You can go to the nursery. My recommendation for mulch, though, is actually to go to getchipdrop.com. You can just go to Google and type in get chip drop. They will give you free wood chips. Now, I would say they usually drop off at least 5 yards. They can drop off 10 to 20 yards of mulch. So this is a lot of mulch. And I mean, like, this is cubic yards of mulch. So if you use Get Chip Drop, make sure that you have enough space to store the mulch. And remember that you're going to have to spread it out. And it's going to take some time. Now, if you don't need that much mulch and you want to get some free mulch, my recommendation is to call up your local arborist. Tell them that you need some mulch. Ask them if they're in your area, if they could drop off a small load. A lot of arborists are very willing to do this. You can get mulch for free. In fact, here in California, arborists actually have to pay to drop off their chippings, when they go to the dump. So if you are willing to take the wood chips, then they save money. So it's a win-win situation. Now, I also want to show off and point out our little peppers here. Funny thing, this pepper actually started fruiting first. Still only has one pepper on it. It's almost ready. This is a lunchbox pepper. We do have some new peppers coming in on this, but this one was actually growing slower and not fruiting at first, but as you can see, this has really overtaken the lunchbox. This here is a jalapeno, and it is just absolutely covered in our little jalapenos here. Very excited. I can't wait. I haven't had fresh jalapenos in a while, and I'm already planning on taking all of these. I'm going to throw them on the barbecue, and I'm going to eat them with some rice and beans, maybe some carne asada and corn tortillas, and oh my God, I can't wait. I'm salivating over here. Beep boop. Am I reconnected now? I hope. There we go. Maria says, I like jalapenos fried with oil and salt. That sounds good. I apologize for that. I think I lost the stream for a second there, but it looks like we're back. Now, let me show you one other thing here. Yolanda says, we'll be over for dinner. Sounds good, Yolanda. Now, I have a couple of artichokes here. These are actually artichokes that were in the old raised bed that was taken out. I'm actually planning on taking these to my classes in the next couple of weeks. I was letting them kind of regrow from the roots because a lot of the leaves on top actually died back. In fact, you can see the old pieces of leaves. Actually, you can hardly see it. I think most of it's already broken down into the soil here. But these are just growing back. I'm going to take these to my classes, and if anybody wants an artichoke, you can have a free artichoke. So if anybody from any of my in-person classes, if you would like an artichoke for your garden, you can go ahead and claim it in the chat right now. Otherwise, I'm going to lug these around with me during the week, and first come, first serve. These are really good globe artichokes. Once you get them planted up, it is probably going to take at least a season, maybe even a year before you start getting good artichokes on them. But they are really good. Now, I also wanted to show you all the Jabatacoba, since I haven't shown this off in a couple of weeks here. As you can see, there is no more fruit left. The critters discovered the Jabatacoba, and as you can see over here, that's their hiding spot. That's where they've been eating them. But the tree has been stripped, no more fruit left. But it has almost been a month since we started making that Jabatacoba liqueur. So next live stream, I'm going to show you how it looks. As a matter of fact, I might even do a taste testing. It's already been a month, and it takes a minimum of 1 month before you can try the concoction. So next week on the live stream, we'll give it a taste. Let's see here. Oh, I've missed some stuff in the chat. Let me scroll through here. Does it matter if mulch is from a diseased tree? That's a very good question, and it depends on what the disease is. Generally speaking, it's not an issue if mulch comes from a diseased tree, but let's say that you've got something like an oak root rot, maybe you have a tree that's diseased like an oak, you wouldn't want to put that mulch under another oak tree. On the other hand, there are some trees that won't be impacted by that disease, so you could use that mulch. You just have to be picky or choosy about where you put it. Same thing with any kind of a mulch, actually. Matter of fact, eucalyptus trees don't make very good mulch for a lot of parts of your gardens. Matter of fact, eucalyptus is not good for flowers. It's not good for your herbs. It's not good for your vegetables. Eucalyptus actually has a chemical that is allelopathic, so it inhibits the growth of other plants. But you can use eucalyptus in pathways, because if you think about it, if you have a pathway, let's say I want to put a pathway through here, and I don't want weeds to grow in there, well, I could put down eucalyptus. I could put down California pepper trimmings, and that'll actually help to suppress the growth of the weeds. So, even if you have a material that's bad for the garden, there's ways to use just about everything. Let's see here, going through the chat. Let's see, Sandy says, I have a pepper plant that just arrived by itself. The peppers are red and tiny, but very, very spicy. Ooh, exciting. I wonder what kind of pepper it is. You'll have to let us know in the chat if you have the name. Yolanda says, no fair, I'm on Zoom only. Oh, Yolanda, you really do want dinner, huh? I've joked about this before, but I think that we're going to have a potluck for all of the online students. I'm going to talk to Mount Sac about it. We've actually discussed this before. But if we can find a day where some of the online students can come out to campus at Mount Sac, we'll have to set up a potluck. Since all of the in-person classes do potlucks every semester, we really should do that together with the online class. Let's see here. So if you get free mulch, you don't know what you're getting. And yes, that's a very good point, that if you get the free mulch, you don't know what you're getting. And that's the one problem with something like chip drop, is it is really a toss of the coin as to whether you get something good or you get something not so good. So you do have to be a little bit careful when you order from, or when you request mulch from something like chip drop. Ooh, Maria says, I'll make some potato and egg patties. Okay, you guys, we got to stop talking about food. I'm actually going to get hungry here. Now, I'm going to continue on our little tour back here. So let me take you through to the other side of the garden. Now, I wanted to show off our little blueberries. You saw I planted these blueberries, over a month ago now. I forget how long exactly it's been. This crazy thing, after we took blueberries off, decided to produce more blueberries and more flowers and more flowers. This really wants to produce blueberries this year, I tell you. Now, I also showed off my very sad little passion fruit that I got from Armstrong's. Unfortunately, as you can see, a lot of it died back. Fortunately, the entire plant didn't die. It still had a living stem down here, and it is coming out. But I am concerned about this. I may still end up contacting Armstrong's to see if I can get another plant. Since they guarantee their plants, I don't know what was wrong with this one, but boy howdy, it's just really struggled since I got it. Well, Armstrong's might be expensive, but I tell you, I've taken them up once or twice before on plants that didn't do so well, and that guarantee is really, really good. Let's see here now. Next up, let's take a look at the chocolate vine. And no, this is not a vine that produces chocolate. This is the Akebia vine, also known as the chocolate vine because it produces flowers that smell like chocolate. This is doing exceptionally well. These started off about yay tall or so. As you can see, they are growing quite quickly along the fence. Check that out, all the way out to there. Growing all the way out here already. Oh, look at that, all the way up to there. And I've just started training these so that one crosses over this way and one branch is crossing over that way. These are actually two different colored flowers. One is the white akebia and the other is the purple. Or maybe that one's the purple and that's the white. I don't remember. But anyway, this is doing great. I'm really happy because I was concerned about how much shade is back here. It seems very happy, and I'm excited to see this actually produces a really interesting fruit that they say tastes like a combination of lychee, melon, and coconut. I've never tried it before, but it sounds delicious. You got to watch out. There's a little mouse that's been hanging out back here, and oh, there it is. Ha ha ha. Oh, that was dumb. I'm sorry. Now, moving on along here, I did also want to point out we have our goji berries here. I actually showed off the goji berries a couple weeks ago, mentioned the powdery mildew. I treated this a couple of times with that product I keep telling you about, the Revitalize, and it stopped the powdery mildew in its tracks. So the powdery mildew has not spread at all since I used that product. So this is actually doing quite well here. You know, this is a plant that I walk by probably every week, and I don't think I've talked about this at all. This is actually a really interesting vegetable. It's called everlasting spinach. Supposedly, according to tradition, they say that if you take one leaf of this plant every week and eat it raw, it's supposed to make you live longer. Now, I planted this a little bit too far out here. I was hoping to get it to grow that way, but it didn't want to, so I'm actually planning on digging this up once it's done flowering and bearing its seeds here, and I'm going to plant it closer to the fence here. In fact, we're going to move this wheelbarrow. We're probably going to take that out of there and just push that plant back a little bit. Maria says, I have 3 goji berry pots. Very nice, Maria. Yolanda says, would it be better to trim that plant so it might regrow? So I know you're talking about the passion fruit over there. Yes, you know, I should go in and trim off those dead pieces on the passion fruit, but right now that's not going to make a big difference on the plant. Now I'm going to flip my camera around. I'm going to see if I can sneak in here to show you one of our California native bees that's come over here to visit our borage, and it's gone. Shoot, I think I spooked it. Maybe if I step back and wait a minute, it'll come back. If any of you caught that, it's a little black bee about that big. It's actually one of my favorite California native bees because it almost has a blue tint to it. In fact, it likes to come over here to the borage. Also likes some of the salvias that we have planted over there. But yeah, it loves these flowers in here. Now, I think I already mentioned this the other week, but just in case you weren't here, the worms have escaped. So here we have our worm bins, and I've actually stopped putting food in here because we don't have any worms in here anymore. It's actually pretty much just pill bugs and the occasional spider. Matter of fact, there's a roly-poly right there, just hanging out. Hello, little friend. That's okay, he can stay in there, I don't mind him. Now, if I dig down in here, ooh, I bet you're all wondering where my gloves are, huh? You can see that the worms are completely gone. Now, fortunately, the worms didn't die. I was taking a look around and I noticed that down here in the slots in the side, there's holes that have been dug into the bed, which of course I knew the worms would do that, but What I didn't think about is we have the whole Hugelkultur mound under there, which is loaded up with all kinds of leaves and sticks and all kinds of stuff that I'm sure the worms would love to eat. And so I'm imagining the worms must have gone into the Hugelkultur and they're probably in there eating all of that stuff right now. Now, I'm going to leave the worm bins in here, and eventually I'm going to start adding food again in hopes that the worms will come back up in here. Of course, the worms don't have to be in here. It's okay. I'm totally satisfied with the worms just being in the general bed. I'm sure they're down there in the Hugelkultur turning all of that plant material into fertilizer for our plants. Now, let me make sure I got this on here right. There we go. I don't know why I'm being so careful putting that on when we don't even have worms in there anymore. Yolanda says, are you going to put in a bee house for visiting bees so they can stay in the garden? That's a good question. And, I probably should put in a little bee hotel. You can make an insect hotel or a bee hotel by taking a piece of wood and drilling different size holes into it. You can also use bamboo with different size holes. You can even take material like straw and stuff it loosely into a frame and create a hotel for bees and other insects. So that's actually a really good idea, Yolanda. In fact, I might start thinking about where I can put that. Maybe right over here. Oh, nope, that spot's already taken. I guess I won't put it over there. We have so many lizards back here, I tell you. Funny little guys. Let me get a little bit of a close-up for you. Just for fun. Oh,